So is Brian home or is he out?
No, he went back to work yesterday.
So quiet house for you again.
Somewhat.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah, not quite as chaotic.
Yep. I forget now who I was. Maybe it was my daughter-in-law, maybe it was somebody else. About how it's such a different thing when the men are home and then they leave. And I remember that when Mark was doing that for a while, he was posting out to the field so many days and then back so many days. And we had our dad routine and we had our dad's gone routine. And we just change them out.
Yeah. Yep. And right now the dad's home routine is still kind of like go, 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 go. And it's like, hold on, we have responsibilities at home, just wait a minute. Slow down. Yeah.
Yep. Good evening, Alyssa. Ooh, there you
Am
are.
I there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, I didn't know that I was. Oh, hold on. I don't know what I did. So you can hear me, but can you see me?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'm here.
Well, good. And thanks to Alyssa, we have yet another Alyssa that's going to join us, who's going to join us next week. She's catching up. She had stuff going on tonight yet. So that is really cool. And she's ready to rock. Oop, and there she went.
Well, it's cool that she found that she's got people interested in it. I mean, I've been trying to talk to a couple people, including my sister, and all my sister can say is, yuck. You believe in all that? I'm like, yeah.
I guess if you believe in lifestyle, I mean, that's really, it's just lifestyle.
I mean, well, I know there's a few things that is not something that I don't feel is me, but I know a lot of it is. It's like that's what I want to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that's what you do with anything, right? Is you practice discernment and you take what you can use. And if it's just a matter of a challenge, that's a different thing. But if there's things that you're just not comfortable with, then you leave it go and take what you can grow and glean and be more alive from. Yeah. Which is an important thing in growth. I run into a lot of people that throw out the baby with the bathwater and they keep themselves in a comfortable place. Even though it's not comfortable, they don't want to be challenged. So, yeah, that is why we're here, though. So, with our group ground rules this week, I want you to think to your heroine, the one that you're going to be in December. What of the ground rules is she really, I'm not sure, is her go-to or is really resonating with when you kind of step into that future person? What if the ground rules are your key ground rule for this round? We've got being all in, which means being fully engaged. Listening deeply for the truth or essence behind what we hear, being interested in our personal growth and growing together. It's kind of an arm around the shoulder growth kind of thing, not a, oh, you're.
Yeah, I think I'm an all in. I think I'm an all in at this point.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Sweet. Which any one of these alone can certainly be a great thing. Hey, Bryce. All right, we'll come back to that one. Prioritizing your growth. And you could emphasize any one of those words in the process, because we all know, we've done this long enough, that things come up. There's conflicting demands on your time, or something happens and there's a squirrel and off you go after something else and lose sight of your growth and what it is that you want to be and want to do. Distraction. Engaging your edge means being willing to be uncomfortable. Being willing to engage on things that are maybe outside your comfort zone. Maybe you'll keep them, maybe you won't, but being willing to at least go to the edge and push the boundaries of comfort. We all, this is the beauty of a dynamic group, come up with a lot of different things that we bring to the group and that we find challenging. So staying out in that slightly uncomfortable territory. Every person that I listen to on personal growth and development, or even business stuff, that's what they talk about. Get used to being uncomfortable, because that's where you're really alive. Nurturing identity evolution. We want to make sure that your heroine becomes reality. We're not going to just accept ho-hum or, oh, well, it was too much work. You want to nurture that identity evolution. Listening deeply means listening to each other and what's behind the words sometimes, and listening deeply to yourself. But it's a whole conversation. Listening is a real skill anymore. I think we've all felt the pain of not being listened to in the last year and a half, having people make assumptions. And that's not what we're here to do. We're here to listen and to communicate with care and candor as well. It means you can go ahead and say it, throw it out there. I've had it happen a couple times where people said something, it's like, ooh, I don't like that. So you take a minute to think about it. They might be right and you needed that challenge. It might be wrong and you need to just be willing to say, well, you know, I disagree with you. It's okay. This is all just part of good communication, and we can practice it here. I promise we are very unoffendable as a rule. And I think probably I'm the one that's least likely to speak up if there's an offense of all of you, which is a really awesome thing. And I admire in everybody. But by the same token, if there is something that somebody says, you know, let's talk about it. Let's bring it up. Let's keep it out there on the table. That's part of the listening thing, setting yourself aside and listening to what's going on with the other person. Accepting no whining. It is fine to be uncomfortable. Share the emotions that come up as part of your evolution and growth, because sometimes it's really scary out on the edge. And you'll find things the old stories. We're going to talk about stories again tonight and work with that a little bit. But all the old stories come up with growth. And as you're rewriting new storylines for yourself, it is, you confront those old storylines. And sometimes you confront the things that happened that caused you to write those stories. And it's uncomfortable feelings. It might be awful memories, whatever. That happens. So when you tweak out on these things, reach out so you don't stay stuck in your old stories. You can move into your new stories. When you reach out, that's where we all come in handy and help you out. And I think you guys have done that. I know, Amanda, this is the one that, or Alyssa, excuse me, you talked about last week a little bit as part of your new identity, balancing the need for safety and, excuse me.
And then counteract it with engagement. Yeah. I can't
Right.
isolate. I do that. I pull back and I isolate, and I just don't want to deal with anything or anyone. But that's not me. That's not me. It's not inherent to my personality and my character. So that is outside of my character. So I have to fight that.
Yep. Have a plan.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. It's a common thing when when the going gets hard, it's a common thing to want to contract and want to withdraw. And it's okay for a little bit, but then you gotta expand again. And just reaching out into the group can be one way to just like stick a little finger up out of your safe zone and say, hey, help. It's breaking that pattern. Yep. I know in my
Yep. And I think sorry, go ahead, Jill.
I was gonna say, in my years of doing this, I have discovered that that is one of my things. From our book, In Momentum, the big leap that we just finished, one of the ways that you contract away from your goals, really, from your best you, being a genius, is by not talking to the people that you need to talk to about things, or talking to the wrong people about problems, not talking to people at all, holding it all in. That all contracts you in from your growth. And said, oh, well, that's probably one of my, some people it's easy to talk to, some people it's not. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
But on a growth path, you honor those, if someone gives offense, you go to them first. If something happens, that was just I was reading in our book this time around, Gifts of Imperfection. In order to grow, she learned that she's got to have some people she shares with. Not everybody, but to have those key people that you can reach out to when you have things happen that cause you to tweak out for whatever reason, no matter what it is. Overcome resistance by kindling your desire. That's probably the most appropriate one to what we're going to talk about tonight. And then give to receive and be ready for action. You can only receive when you give. Even when what you are giving is the opportunity for people to help you. That is a huge gift. And I know, Bonnie, you love to be a helper. So you can appreciate that. But at the same time, sometimes the most helping people, the most giving people have a hard time receiving, but allowing people to give you feedback and give you support is probably one of the best gifts you can give to other people so that you receive as well what you need.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's very taxing.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Personal experience.
Yep. It's kind of converse in the mind, but
Yeah.
it really is a truth of nature. We say in churches all the time, you can't outgive God. So if you want to receive, you got to give. And sometimes we get a little backwards and we think, oh, well, it's like rubbing the magic genie. But it's really just a universal law that if you can't give, you can't receive. And that being willing to receive from people is one of the biggest gifts you can give. So.
Yep.
So,
that's why we do what we do.
You're right. Your heroine. What is the one that she says, this is the one that we need to think about this time around? When you think about your goals, you think about what's keeping you from getting there. Well, one of these will be most useful to you in getting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to make it larger so I can see it, but I can't get it any larger.
Yeah. I can't make it too much larger either, or it just kind of runs all over the screen.
Yeah, that's fine, because even if it was, I wouldn't be able to see it the way my computer's set up. I mean, I'm on my laptop and I can't get it to go any larger this time for some reason. Usually I don't have that much of an issue, but if I hit there, it's going to close it.
Yeah. So for your heroine, you need to embrace being all in, prioritizing your growth, engaging your edge.
Honestly, Jill, I think at this point, a little bit of each one of those is what I've got to do. I mean, it's basically the very next step, right?
Right.
There's going to be something in every category I've found, because I'm going to be listening intently as to what he's got to say, as well as trying to listen, because I'm going to be learning a lot from him, as well as, helping him build, because I don't know a lot about building and I want to be able to learn that as well. So, and he's willing to teach me all that. So it's like,
yes. Yeah. Like I said, I'm looking at this one thinking, at least I know what I realized as I was preparing for this lesson. For this particular habit in any way or practice, this is the one that I realized, oh yeah, we're going to talk about that one. Yeah, you do find there's a little bit of all of them that you need. Here you go. So this week, like I said, I was sick, and you guys know I love coffee. I really do like it. And I keep saying that I need to drink less or give it up altogether. But I realized the fact of the matter is I really don't want to. Not really, because otherwise I would,
Yes.
You always have time, money, and energy for what's really important to you. And I just didn't really want to. So this week, coffee, I am giving it up right now. And like, there's this habit of pouring a cup of coffee, but it tastes so bad. you can't even imagine. I keep saying it tastes like battery acid, but it's so metallic and just, I can't do it. I really just can't. There's no two ways around it. But I realized, oh yeah, it's because I just didn't have a strong enough why. Like there was no good enough reason to motivate me to give it up until it tasted like battery acid. Even my tea doesn't taste great, but at least it's warm and it doesn't feel like my mouth is just gonna melt and stimulate my gag reflex, you know? I just didn't have
Yeah,
a good enough why for me.
that's how it took me to quit smoking too. I had to convince myself that just smoking one, it would make me sicker than a dog. And then one day it finally did. It's like, oh.
Right. Now the motivation is adequate. Your why
Yeah.
was
Yep.
big enough to do the job. Right. You had a big enough why. So then I got to thinking about this habit. And I got to tell you, I really wanted to totally revamp this lesson and record a new video and do the whole nutrient dense noon. And as you can see, it didn't happen yet, just because it didn't, because my brain was too foggy and just getting done what I had to do was enough. So maybe the next time around, or maybe I'll add it later. I don't know. But I realized earlier, lighter dinner has always been really hard for me. Always really hard. I felt like there was this barrier and I couldn't quite get past it. And why? Well, my why just wasn't strong enough to get past the stories that I had. Let's see. I showed you guys this. Bonnie, I shared with you, and this is the little rabbit trail, an invite to a 3-day workshop, didn't I?
I believe so, yes, but I didn't reschedule anything yet on that.
Okay, that's fine. But this is where I get this little guy from. The guy's name that teaches it is David Nagel, and I forget now. He said where he gets it from. It's some psychologist, but he's the one that talks about this. So up here in my head, I had this thought, I need to do earlier, lighter dinner. I need to do that. And I need to do it because I know I'll feel better, and all the reasons that we talk about why you need to eat earlier and lighter in the evening. All of them being true. And I had stories. Stories are what we live by. They're the ways that we make sense of our world, that we choose what we're going to do, choose our actions and behavior. And I had stories like, oh, farmers eat late. That's what they do. We live by the sun, which my family does actually quite a bit, but we're not very good clock watchers. You got to have 3 squares a day, right? Especially if you have it and you're a farmer and you're working hard and yada, yada. Or that's the way I've always done it. These stories. So you get results then. You might like them, you might not like them. Our golden rule is always, how do you feel in the morning? That's kind of your report card to yourself. So I was getting better results with how I felt in the morning, but I mean, like, this has been 4 years, less than 4 years, because I'm getting there, but the results are getting better, but they weren't getting to where I wanted because I had these stories. These stories are a lot of emotion. This is your logic and this is your emotion. Until you get these two together, you're not going to get the results that you want. It's kind of A plus B equals C. But if you've got A plus Q, you're not going to get C. So we talk about focusing on what you are doing rather than what you are not doing, right? Focusing on what you're going to do instead of saying, well, I'm not going to do this. We talked about that last week, I think, too. It's not that you're not going to do this, it's that you're going to do something else. So then, and this is why I wanted to talk about nutrient dense noon. Instead of, oh no, I lost my, I do that again. Pencil. I did this before. All the stupid things. Anyway. So, changed it out. Focus on nutrient dense noon. And I think this is, we talk about this a little bit in our lessons. We've talked about it, but it's not been a focus. So early or later dinner can be a challenge for you guys, or do you guys feel like you've got it pretty well nailed?
No, I find it to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Good. We're in this together.
Yes. It's, well, like your stories, I've never heard it depicted that way, but that is true. You tell us, and it's learned behavior, the stories that were passed on to you, like you said, 3 meals a day, all eat together, sit down. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. I have to make dinner for Elia and I, and Steve is out and I bring a plate to him. So it just is, it is what it is. And it's impossible.
It is a challenge. Yes. So when you're looking for the results, though, that we talk about with early or later dinner, of better digestion, better sleep, less joint pain, more energy, all those things that everybody wants. If we put the focus, just shift our focus from the thing that feels impossible, that we can't do, right? I'm not going to wait until 7 o'clock to start supper, or I'm going to do this, but it's impossible. Shift the focus. And really with this habit and eating with the clock, noon is your main event. So if we take that last meal off the table and we're going to layer in our healthier eating practices a little bit. But when your noonday, you have a nutrient dense noon, just focus on making lunch the main event. Especially when you're home, it's a little bit easier. That's the meal that I cook, that I really make stuff. I put some effort into lunch. Make sure that it's a little bit bigger. That's when we have our meat. That's the big one. And then the second meal is leftovers. And we follow our stomachs. And we've been doing this a lot lately, which has made a lot of differences. So, I want this a little bigger, just so it's easier to read. Just by making lunch bigger, I had new stories that got me new results. So these new results are, I have more time because my kitchen is streamlined, and I'm putting all my effort in at noon when I have more energy instead of in the evening when I'm already tired and I feel like I've put in a day's work and now we got to have this huge meal. So I have more time. I'm getting energy results, efficiency results. Most of the time, cleaner kitchen, which is a space thing, and we all enjoy a cleaner house. And I realized those are the results that really turn me on. I can do things to have more time with my family, more time to do things we enjoy, to have more energy in the evenings, especially to have that big job be less work, simply because I'm doing it when I naturally have more energy. To have a more streamlined kitchen and a cleaner kitchen space, those kind of results turn me on. So then the stories change. Stories around, we have fun as a family doing other things. If we sit down together for 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, and we do something else around supper, well, that's okay. Or we can all sit down and eat our sandwich, have our picnic sandwich together outside someplace. Because it's not a big deal. It's more important we can focus on our together time. So, stories. How does that hit you guys? What does that bring up?
Well, what do you say to people who work during the day and their kids are in school? And like with Alaya, she tells me what she has for lunch, but most of the time it's just like a fruit plate or something like that, and a fruit and yogurt plate. And then Steve, he eats out every day for lunch. So I don't know. How do you recommend doing that? Just still do a light dinner and then just make yourself independently, like just encourage Alaya to eat more at lunch? How would you, for families like who have kids in school, and then that's usually their big meal is at night? I understand the concept of changing the story, but yeah.
Okay. No, that's a very, very legitimate question. Because I know that I'm in a unique situation with everybody home. Let's brainstorm a little bit. What are some other stories you can tell? Think of other storylines.
Well, my situation is unique also in the fact that I only have Alaya half the week. So Steve and I eat differently when she's with us. So there's that factor too.
Right.
So yeah, I think I do need to sit down and brainstorm and come up, because sometimes we're eating right before we go to bed at 9:30, 10, and we're starving. So I need to manage that time better, like you said, instead of being the negative, it's impossible. Just work it. Yeah.
Yeah. What if you had, you make your lunch or whatever, but make your main meal at 4 p.m. when she gets home?
Right. Okay. Instead of a snack, because she has a snack after school. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And then, you can have your fun fart around day, and at 2 or 2:30, that's when you start lunch, your main meal. They kind of need new names.
Right.
Yeah. And you can even leave a plate on the back of the stove for Steve or warm something up for him when he gets home. Or, the guys, they're going to do what they're going to do too. But for you and Elia anyway, you can have your big meal at 4 or whenever it is she gets home. What other alternate storylines are there, Bonnie?
Sorry, got distracted. Got a phone call. I had to decline. I'll probably call back. For me, making the right connection to, because I like the idea of having better results by keeping the story more positive. So that way we are making that connection. So instead of telling myself, I'm hungry all the time, or, replace it with something else, so I have more of a positive thought coming in, like I can get through until mealtime. But I am still having difficulty as far as Bryce goes, getting him to eat something more than just certain things. I mean, I want him to start eating more meat, and he won't touch it. And occasionally he goes through a chicken nugget thing, but he won't eat like a baked chicken.
Right.
It's like, so yeah, that one's a difficult thing.
Yeah, educating that palate, but trying to think of the story around that, because I know one of the stories I grew up with is that you need to have everything, like the food pyramid at every meal. It's not true. If you eat, well, I mean, the food pyramid is no good anyway, but with some of our
plant-based I agree.
Yeah. And the healthier eating practices.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do random things. Yeah. It's okay to eat what you're hungry for, if you're really hungry. And sometimes that's hard for kids, but kids, especially if they're really hungry, they're dictated to by their bodies quite a bit, unless they have been over sugared. But
well, and that's kind of the result with him. And we're all a little bit guilty in that one. So that's why I'm trying to change it, and then it's trying to teach the other ones to change that too. One in particular, because he says, well, I'm not home that much, so I'm going to spoil it the way I want to. Yeah.
Right. It is a little difficult to deal with a star. Yes. And Bryce is by far the star of the show there.
Mm-hmm.
For many reasons. Yep. It is what it is. So, yeah. But kids in particular are very good at being guided by their hunger if you let them get hungry. So, which I'm sure is a lie.
That's what I try to do.
He gets home from school.
Yeah. The only thing is that I found that she has been hoarding. She brings snacks from her dad's house in her backpack, and I didn't know. And then I was cleaning up her room because it was just, I let her manage it, but every once in a while I just go in there and clean it because it's just, she cleans like a 10-year-old,
Right.
So I found all kinds of wrappers, chip bags, candy. I was like, what is this under her mattress? So yeah, we've had to deal with that. And I was wondering why she never ate dinner, because she had just had a bag of chips or a candy bar or something.
Right.
So, yeah. And her father doesn't help. So that's a battle in itself.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you have another layer of challenge. But
yeah.
if you've got food ready for her when she gets home from school, that's what there is. And she'll probably be happy to eat it. And then
Yeah.
if she has room for chips later, well.
Yeah. It's a good idea. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. My guys used to love it. I'd leave food on the back of the stove and they'd come in and, oh, yes, real food. Yeah. And kids too, they tend to eat and shift things. So like in the scope of a week, they'll eat a balanced diet, but not on any given day, always, especially little ones.
Yeah, I mean, I try to expand him out, even with hot dogs. He actually told me that yesterday. I love hot dogs. And I looked at him, I said, since when? I can't get you to eat one. Well, I love them now. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to hold you to that.
Right.
But yeah, he just, I mean, he wants to eat nothing but like a grilled cheese sandwich or macaroni and cheese or mashed potatoes.
Oh, well, mashed potatoes isn't bad.
No, but he's got to be in the mood for those.
In the mood.
Otherwise, he won't eat them.
When you think about the results, because like I said, I realized that when I changed my focus, it opened up a different storyline, a whole different storyline, like an alternate reality suddenly happened. And that I didn't want necessarily the results that I thought I wanted. These were more the results that really excited me and helped me do the thing that I need to do. So when you think about your storyline and shifting to nutrient dense lunch, and then supper can be whatever, because you've gotten your nutrition in the noontime. What kind of results might you get that would really turn you on? What would inspire you for real? Think about your heroine.
Oh, gosh. Well, I guess for me, I would have to say my ideal weight that I want, the more energy that I want.
Oops, I can spell. Okay, releasing weight. And I say releasing weight because we say we want to lose weight a lot of times. But weight is holding on to things, right? Your body, for whatever reasons, is holding on to the excess calories, or maybe not excess, but wrongly timed calories, or whatever it is. So you're going to release things. That can be part of your story up here too. This helps make your lunch satisfying. That's an alternate storyline that opened up for me. I can be satisfied with less because my body really feels nourished. And when you layer in that healthier eating practice of eating only when you're hungry and what you're hungry for, realized, oh, if I'm hungry at 7 o'clock at night, but I've had my nutrient dense meal, I can eat at 7 o'clock at night if I'm really hungry. It's okay. And I can eat, and then when I'm really hungry, I find that it's a very small amount of something really simple that I'm really hungry for. And it works. So layering the two of those together has been the key for me to kind of unlock this. Well, then I'm eating one big meal, a really light meal in the evening, but I've released myself from a whole lot of things and thoughts and expectations and beliefs. It's a weight off my back, to use a phrase. Phrases so often have more truth in them than what we give them credit for. Yeah. So.
Yep, and some words, that's, like, well, you did the releasing, and releasing to me is I agree with you. It seems like it's a better word, because trying to say the word lose, for many, lose is one thing, but then you turn around, you're going to find it again.
Right.
So releasing sounds it's more like convincing your mind that it's not going to come back. So yeah, it's a better phrased word. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and
I concur, Bonnie.
When you've coupled it with releasing yourself from the stories that are keeping you stuck there and going with alternate storylines, then you've started to change your identity. And you're identifying as somebody who can be satisfied with less, or somebody who, however your story runs, you've rewritten your storyline. And that is what makes it so you don't find that weight again.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other results would really turn you on?
Oh gosh, I had one a minute ago and I lost it.
Well, me, it would be just the satisfaction of not going to bed so full and so heavy, and then waking up full and heavy. I mean,
or with
sometimes
heartburn. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, I never have heartburn. I've never had heartburn. Thank you, Jesus. But I do. It's just uncomfortable. Well, I don't know. It's not as bad as in my mind, I think it is, just eating, because I know that it's not good for you to eat so much before you go to bed. But I don't break my fast sometimes until 1 or 2, because I'm still satiated from the night before. I don't know. Is that good? You don't want to, because my digestion is good. I have no gut problems because I drink all the lemon water.
Yeah,
so
that puts you in a way better position, because you're doing the thing of waiting until you're hungry to eat. And if you can adjust that clock just a wee bit by getting this nutrient dense noonish meal-ish, but getting that big meal a little bit earlier, it's going to let your body be that much more efficient with what you do eat. That's one of the reasons, actually, with the whole carnivore thing. When you eat the meat and you eat a real fatty piece of meat, and that's your main sustenance, you can eat once or twice a day and not feel like you need to snack. You don't need to do anything else.
correct.
If you're eating,
yes,
yeah. And then if you have your steak for lunch and you have your yogurt or a fried egg or whatever it is, just that for supper, your body's going to be really happy, just because you've gotten that density of nutrition early enough in the day that it's used it and it's great and it feels marvelous. Right. And even if you eat something later, it's not going to be a heavy something, because you're following the dictates of your stomach. If
I
you
have
sweat,
found that now that we have transitioned and we eat when we're hungry, we've been able to maintain our weight. Steve has lost 42 pounds and kept it off. And we have reintroduced squash and dark bitter greens
mhm.
into our diet. But other than that, we're pretty much still carnivore. And weight has never been an issue for me, but I just want to be healthy. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to lose weight, but I have noticed the carnivore diet has changed my life.
Yeah. It's really an amazing thing. So what other results would come when you shift into an alternate storyline? What other results would really excite you?
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, it would just be the satisfaction of having, like you said, the weight off my shoulders about dinner and dishes, and because I'm too tired by the end of the day. I have that big old farm sink. It's just a big old tank of a sink, and it fits everything quite nicely in it, and it just waits for me until the morning. But that would be nice because I always used to have my kitchen, nipped and tucked before I went to bed, and that's just not the case. So I think there would be victory in that. I wouldn't have to wake up to that. So that would be nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
I gotta agree with that.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
most part, I try to have an empty sink at night, but sometimes I just get too tired and it'll sit there.
Yep. Yep. So finding your why is of the essence. That's one reason we do that whole orientation thing. And sometimes it isn't what you think, but as soon as you start to shift your focus and rewrite your story a little bit, you say, oh, the whys. That's absolutely it. Oh, I can do this. Because ultimately, all of these are about no, put it in there. Oh, it's anyway. Are about having more life for me. So ultimately, making this adjustment to just having all of my big work at noon and that nutrient dense main meal, then changing my story up, it's just about life. Ultimately, that's the big why. So I'm curious. Oh, there it is. Heavens. What of your big why would help you step into a different storyline here? What was your big why from last week? Back to the heroines. Are you guys there yet? Your big why.
I'm
All right,
actually.
well, the,
Sorry, Jill.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I'm sorry. A little bit interrupted there. My why is really is I want to be more organized in my life. So getting some little, starting with little things is going to help me get more things organized. So that's why I need more energy.
Okay. So how, what will you have if you have organization?
Cleaner house. I feel as if my own mind would be more organized. Structure, more structure, basically. I guess in a shorter way of putting it.
Okay. Uh-huh. Organization is a good key word. Some more clarity in space, in mind and body. Okay. So
Yep.
how can this shift help you with that? What can you shift
Well,
this way?
I'm already doing where it's a little earlier. It's not always a lighter thing, or lighter dinners, but I usually try to do things like at least no later than 4 or 5 o'clock. So basically back to dinner time thing, but and try to do nothing after 6. It's not always easiest thing to do, but and I've noticed that alone has helped with my digestive system. So I think with improving on this a little bit more, I can get even better results and get that more energy to become a little bit more organized and in a lot of areas, I think.
Yep. And I have found, because we we hit on the space and stress. When you structure your heavier work earlier, that's a lot of what you're doing, basically, since this is one of our heavy jobs. Right, shifting your heavier work to earlier in the day will help you organize a whole lot of things a whole lot more efficiently.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Alyssa? What's your big why?
Well, apparently I want to be just like Bonnie, or I am just like Bonnie, because if I could just get my ass organized, especially now, because now that we're branching out with the farm and doing all these events every weekend, there's stuff everywhere. I mean, I have to get organized. And I've been tackling, instead of an overwhelming list, I learned from this group to just Kaizen, baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a long list that I get overwhelmed with and I tend to just walk away from because I'm like, holy crap, I don't know what to do first. So then I just do something else completely random and different.
Still do that.
Yeah. So, but now I have the motorhome. We took it off. We're not renting it anymore because we need it every weekend for the events. So now I'm able to organize like the to-go, everything for the events in the basement of and then the trailer, now that we have the trailer. So everything is getting organized, because before I had things in the guest room, I had things in the atrium, I had things in the basement. And it was just nuts. And then on top of my life, the piles just grew. And then projects that I've just put off and put off and put off. My list, I just put one project instead of my list of 20. I take one from that list, and it's so much easier to digest.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, organized. I need to continue this streak of I'm classic for. I'm good at it for like 5 or 6 days, but I never allow myself to get that 28-day routine in because I get distracted and do something else, or and then my routine is all off. I got to start over.
Yeah. What can you use as a hook? So you had mentioned before that it sounds really good to you to try having like the family meal ready when Aliyah gets home from school, rather, for the two of you.
Actually, that's even better because Steve comes home right around the same time. So if I had that meal ready right after school, instead of preparing a snack for her, I just go ahead and go ahead. I go ahead and just make dinner for everybody. And then we can have, like popcorn or something at night if we're still hungry.
Right. And voila, you've just simplified your life. You don't have to make two things, a snack and a meal. You've got one thing. And then you've got time to, if you all sit down and have popcorn later, you've sat down together. You've got 2 family times then. And you've saved yourself energy. You've got the hook of knowing that she's going to be home, because then that is your motivating. We talked about the habit triggers. Using Aliyah as a person, and when she gets home and Steve gets home, as your time. Because I know you need all the hooks in time you can get. So.
Right. And even that would be an easy routine for me personally to keep, because if I keep that up and we eat right when Steve gets home, because usually he doesn't have a snack with Aliyah. I just make the snack for her, and if there's extra, he'll eat it. But yeah, that's brilliant. I think that could really work.
Yeah. And it works with your why. That's the other really big important thing is, like I said, for me with the coffee and switching to the nutrient dense lunch instead of focusing on the impossible earlier, lighter dinner. It came down to the results that I wanted and really your why. Because that's what really motivates you. So.
Okay, Jill, we solved the world's problems. Woo!
I know, this is awesome. Yeah. So now we're flowing habits, but you've already opened up your evening. So you're already on the track for early to bed, which is our next habit, because now that you got that big event happening earlier, it opens up that evening. So that's the next thing that you'll have to think about for our next habit is, well, how do you spend your evening then? And what helps you get to bed when you need to? It's just about flow and simplifying things. Life is actually incredibly simple. We complicate it. So that's,
we want to do an event real soon too, but I don't know if it's going to be this year yet. I want to get a couple things done around here first.
Yeah. So, all right.
So far, I'm giving the eggs away, so I'm just like, here.
Your guys don't eat eggs? Because I find that's one of the easiest.
We get like 4 a day, and I mean, I don't do a whole lot of baking right now, Come when it gets colder weather, yes, but right now I'm just kind of letting the neighbors know I'm out here. Here you go.
Yeah. That is wonderful as well.
Yeah, brilliant marketing, and you're giving, so that way you'll receive.
Yep.
That's right. And you do. You have great neighbors. Yeah. All right. We're about at our time. With all of this, I got to tell you, one of the things that helped me figure this out is actually, well, I've been working my way into it, but doing the detoxes, because it helped really hone my hunger and paying attention to it and paying attention to what was going to really nourish my body. When you do that clean, you start to notice things. So next Monday, I'm kicking off what I'm doing, and inviting any of you guys that want to come along to do that. You can sign up in the Thinkific. And if you want to bring anybody along, if they come with you, it's 2 for 1. So let me know and I'll have a coupon code for you.
Okay.
For them to sign up. Yeah, so we can share the love a little bit. It's one of the best things about doing things together. You're not doing it alone, figuring it out. So yeah, but make sure you sign up so that you get all the information about when we're going to call. I'm going to have my daughter-in-law come on next week, Saturday morning, because we'll do the Monday evening, just kicking it off. And then that Saturday, it'll be kind of a combination office hours and for the detox. I think that's the 16th if you're looking at your calendar, Bonnie. But she does a lot of work with emotional things. Emotional clearing, a lot of energetic kind of work. So I asked her if she would talk to us about emotional detox and just some practical tools, because I've got some in there and we can sure talk about that. But sometimes that comes up. When you start releasing weight, you discover that it isn't just physical calories stored in there. Or when you start releasing the stuff out of your colon or your liver, it isn't just physical stuff. There's a lot of emotional energy stored in all the cells of your body. And when you start releasing cells, releasing stuff, those release as well. So she's going to talk about clearing that stuff, things you can do to get rid of it. Yeah, I'm kind of excited because
I've been learning a little bit about timeline therapy as well, so I'm learning.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I am really excited to have that be part of our experience this time around. Especially after everything in the last year and a half and just in the last year personally, not even related to the world situations, but it's a good skill to have. So, all righty. Any other closing thoughts? Good to see you, Alyssa.
My little recorder button was gone, and I didn't realize that I could scroll and get more. So I scrolled it over, and then ta-da! So whatever. Hi guys.
Hello.
I'm outside doing my decorations. I don't know if you can. I'm doing the corn stalks. So.
Is that Steve helping you?
No, this is our new farmhand.
Nice.
Say hi, Brett. We almost tipped over the tractor today. We're quite the team.
Trouble in trouble there.
Definitely.
Alrighty. Awesome. Well, then I will see you guys next week. See you guys on the forum. Thank you for your
Okay.
shares on there. I love that verse, Alyssa.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, Bobby had said that when people see me, I want them to see a godly person, and she's just amazing with her service. Wow, I feel
She
so
is.
selfish and so absolutely just not godly sometimes, but I am. I'm delightful and just, I'm good.
No comparisons. Everybody has their own walk. So,
Exactly.
yep. So, all right. You guys have a great evening.
Bye. Have a
Thank
good
you.
week.